Hey everyone, Coach Megan here, and if I had to start completely over, having never competed in a pageant before, these are the 3 things that I would do to win my pageant interview. And if you don't know, or if you're new here, I'm Coach Megan. I'm the founder and CEO of Powerhouse Pageantry, a former Miss Nebraska, and my sash is over there somewhere at Miss Nebraska USA, and I won my pageant interviews in almost all the competitions I've ever competed in. And actually, Powerhouse Pageantry as a company was exclusively an interview company for the first, I was trying to calculate it, like 5 years. We've been in business 10 years now. So we know what we're talking about when it comes to interview. We've had hundreds upon hundreds of winners, a few of which I'm going to talk about today. And hilariously enough, we've even had so many interview winners that the reason why I added other services to Powerhouse in about 2019, 2020-ish was because I was so sick and tired of winning interview as much as we did, but then they wouldn't win the rest of the pageant. And so I added other resources, and now that's the way that Powerhouse Pageantry is today, is we're full service. But I'm so incredibly passionate about interview, and it's for 2 reasons. One, interview is so greatly tied to your identity. And as a master neurolinguistic programming expert and coach, really studying human behavior, human psychology, human performance for the last 12 years. I'm just fascinated by what makes people tick and what gets people from being stuck to in motion. So the identity and human performance piece of it is so crucial, and we're going to talk about that today. And then the second component is your interview is so tied to the impact and the purpose that God has placed you on this earth for, and that a lot of times extends far beyond when you're competing in pageantry, or it should. And so I like to talk about that because when that anchor is not cast far enough, and I'll explain that in a second, when the anchor is not cast far enough, you put so much pressure on yourself to win this pageant, like a pressure cooker. And I always say, my husband was just cooking this morning, when you're in a pressure cooker, the last step of that process is when everything is done, that's fine. You eat the chicken, you eat the rice, whatever. But what does it do? It goes psss, and it literally like pops off because it has been in such a crazy pressure-filled environment that it just goes nuts at the end, right? And that's not how pageants should feel. So my 2026 motto for coaching is that I want to make things as accessible as possible, as affordable as possible for every single person. I'm on a mission to help 10,000 women this year in pageantry. And I hope that you're next. I hope that you're one of them. And so just as a teaser at the end of this, I'm going to show you what we're doing differently with interview this year. And I'm really excited about it because it's going to make interview easy and fun again. And I firmly believe that this is going to disrupt the entire pageant industry, and I don't say that lightly. Mark my words, today you're going to see a bunch of people copying what we're doing, and it's because it's going to work, and it is working better than even anything that I've taught in the past. So let's get excited. If I had to start completely over, here are the 3 things that I would teach you to do. And then if you want to click below, there is actually a freebie that you guys can get that details out number 3. So part 3 of what I'm talking about today. Let's get into it, shall we? So part 1, if I was starting completely over, and this will apply to veteran pageant competitors as well as brand new people, the first thing that you absolutely positively have to do is figure out your heroine story. Now, what is this? This is your hero's journey. If you don't know, heroine is the female version of a hero. So let's just call it the hero's journey for sake of you guys remembering what that is. So this is what you see in movies. This is what you read in books. This is what you see on TV shows. This is like the ultimate storytelling framework of how you capture someone's attention and you capture their heart. And then the hero says yes to the journey, the call to adventure. They go through adversity. They have to work through really hard trials. They don't quit. They don't give up. And then eventually they become the hero because they don't quit, they don't give up. They have the stick-to-itiveness to stick through that trial. And then at the end, they are now positioned not just as a regular person, but the hero. And they typically have some kind of positioning, rulership, kingship, in the end, queenship, whatever that is, to be able to now lead other people through a similar transformation, right? It makes us love them. It makes us respect them. It makes us want to be them. And a fatal mistake that I see in pageantry is people don't get this worked out, okay? So there are a couple reasons why people don't do this. A couple reasons why people don't do this is because it's not fun to go through hell to become the hero. Can we be honest, okay? A lot of people like to quit because it's easier to quit. It's easier to not get uncomfortable, so nobody wants to do it, okay? So you have to say yes to that hero's journey. You have to be willing to go all in. And that is why our vision has to extend far beyond our pageant. It can't just extend to winning the pageant and then what happens? You fall off a cliff after that? Like, that's not what we're here to do, right? So I always build this graph for my clients and on my masterclasses and webinars and such. And a lot of you guys are viewing pageantry, if you were to describe like the x-axis on the bottom, if you will. And if you're watching me on YouTube, which go subscribe to our YouTube if you aren't, because it's going to be way easier than listening and trying to see how I'm describing this. But the x-axis on the bottom, let's say your pageant journey looks like this, okay? It's a line. A lot of you guys are viewing pageantry right here as the very end of like my finger. And you need to view it as something that is just an accomplishment on the long road of everything that you're going to do in your life. And that will help take you out of that pressure cooker and realize that, yes, like we are all in for this goal. We are like, there's nothing that we want more than this, but I also understand that this is not so attached to my identity that like I'm literally going to lose it if I don't win. Okay. Going back to heroine story, people don't say yes to the hero's journey because they don't like to get uncomfortable. They'd rather stay in their own little bubble, and they don't rub elbows with things that sharpen them, that make them interesting. So perfecting your heroine story is so incredibly important, and it's why it's the first framework that we work on with all of our clients when it comes to winning your pageant interview. You cannot win without it, okay? So number 2, the second thing that I would recommend if I was completely starting from scratch is going to be then developing your super stories, okay? These are like I wouldn't necessarily call them micro stories. They're still macro stories, but they are underneath of that hero's journey. The hero's journey is setting the precedent of your character and who the hero is. And then these super stories should fit underneath of that hero's journey and still have a way, like a tributary, of flowing back up into that hero's journey story at any time, okay? So these super stories should tell me about the emotions that you want to convey, the character attributes that you want to convey, who you are as a person, and really give that depth and that dexterity of who you are as an individual. So for myself, as an example, I am equal parts musician as I am business owner. But what's unique and interesting about me, if I can toot my own horn, is that I literally didn't know what an entrepreneur was till I was 23 years old when I started my company. This might sound really dumb, but I legit thought that like your dad had to own a business and you like just bought into it or something, or had to be like a rich girl. Like I legit didn't know that you could just choose to be an entrepreneur and buy an LLC for $100 and get down with your bad self. That's part of what is even interesting as I'm a business coach for so many that they love, is because I'm relatable, right? That's a part of my hero's journey, is I'm like, I started pageant coaching making $8.50 an hour, pulling shots as a barista, and I would take my little laptop and take calls in the back of my mom's van on Zoom. I'm not kidding you. On the way to my sister's college basketball games with no service on I-80 and I-29. Like, it was so ratchet, okay? So if I can do that and I can win Miss Nebraska and Miss Nebraska USA and build $1 million business, I've made $3 million in lifetime income now. And I work 20 hours a week, even as a mom and a wife, and we crush it. I have a small team and we just rock it. Like, what's possible for you, right? So I also say this to say your stories are so important. Again, if we can scope out a little bit, this is so important, not just for a pageant. I want you to think about your super stories in context of like, why do I want to know myself at this level? Like, why do I think that I might need to know how to communicate the things about me? Well, guess what? I can tell you, it's important for your friendships and your relationships. It's important for the workplace. It's important for every interview you're going to do in the future. It's important for knowing how to even build connections with your husband one day, with your friends and family. Being emotionally deep. I was talking with my husband about this yesterday, and I'm going to try and be really vague. But we were talking about some individuals that we mutually know, and we were just kind of like lamenting about like how shallow they are. And like not in a way where like we don't love them, but there literally is just not much going on there. Like they work jobs, they're very kind people, but it's almost like nobody's home. It's very hard to have a conversation at length with them because it's like they're just living on this surface level, okay? So if I can give you a little bonus tip, building your wisdom and your depth, which comes from challenges, failure, trying things that don't work, is so freaking important, okay? Because here's the deal. You're either interesting or you're not. So trying to polish a turd is still a turd, okay? People do quote me on that. It's hilarious. I had a client a couple months ago who joined one of our programs that doesn't exist anymore. And she was like, honestly, you got me with polish a turd. This is when I knew I wanted you to be my mentor. And I was like, nice. So anyways, tangent. But have you ever, like, maybe it's just me, but have you ever met somebody and they're just like freaking boring, right? So don't let that be you walking into the judges. There are some people that I'm trying to work with as a client, and I'm like, you're boring. Like, you literally need to go live some life. And that's how an 18-year-old can go and crush a 28-year-old in a competition if they've actually done stuff and kept their word, okay? So these super stories are really, really important, and not just like figuring them out, but commit to having stories that are worth telling. Commit to having interesting things about you. Commit to, what do you want 2026 to look like? Or maybe you're watching this in the future, 2027, 2028, 2029, whatever it is. Commit to making your life interesting this year. And that's going to take getting uncomfortable. Common denominator of leaders that win, that communicate well, that win their interview, like, they have stuff to talk about, which comes from not everything going perfectly in life and not freaking quitting. Okay. Can I get an amen? This is helping somebody today. I know this is good. Okay. So then part 3, and this is something I've never taught before. I'm so excited, and you guys can get a free worksheet. So make sure that you just go into the show notes, or you can DM me the word 291. That's how many episodes we've done on the podcast. Isn't that amazing? So 291, DM me that on Instagram at Powerhouse Pageantry, and then this will send you the interview freebie. Okay. So finally, number 3, and this is something brand new that I'm teaching. The third thing that I would do if I was completely starting over and I wanted to win my interview prelim, which I have, so you should listen to me, is starter and ender phrases. So your brain has a system called the autonomic success system and the autonomic failure mechanism, okay, /system. And everything that I teach is in frameworks, because the brain is the brain. So when you give it what it needs, it just carries out the programming. So like, I just changed my ManyChat automation, right? I typed in 291. That means whenever you guys type in 291 in Powerhouse, it's going to send you over, perfect, thanks for that. Here's the interview mini course for you. And it'll say, get it here. Okay, that's autonomic programming. So your brain is not, your brain is very complex, don't get me wrong, but your brain is also not that complex. So if I sing, twinkle, twinkle, little, how I wonder what you, okay? Every single one of you guys just said star and R. Every single one of you, okay? If I say, don't think of a purple elephant, what do you picture? Purple elephant. So can I tell you what I think is going to absolutely disrupt the pageant coaching industry forever? Mark my freaking words. Everyone's going to copy me, because this works so well. Like, I am so excited about this. I feel like I just broke the industry. Okay. I've created, at the time of this recording, there'll probably be more when you guys buy the course, if I can be honest, but I've created 37 frameworks just like this that help you start and end phrases in interview where, like, it is literally impossible for you to screw this up. Okay. And I get so excited about it. So in the same way that it's twinkle, twinkle, little, okay, how I wonder what you, okay, if I were to give you, which I have, starter and ender phrases of exactly how to get into any answer in the entire world and how to land the plane successfully, taking away all chances of babbling or even not speaking enough. And all you have to do is know your heroine story and your super stories, the other 2 things that I taught you about today. And you had these 3 things, and that existed inside of a course that taught you exactly how to do this. Oh, and it was 80% less expensive than anything I've ever sold you in my entire life. Okay, people have paid me $6,000 happily every single year. I had 62 people pay me $6,000 last year, okay, to teach them this. Well, actually, this is brand new, so I haven't even taught anybody this, okay? But to work on them one-on-one in an interview, and people rocked it. And like I said, 93% of our clients have made top 5 or better so far. We've had 3 winners going to Miss America's Teen. We had a first runner-up, we had a second runner-up, we had a third runner-up, we had another third runner-up, we had another second runner-up. We had a non-finalist interview winner. We had a top 10. We had another top 5. We had another second runner-up. Yeah, Tennessee, Michigan, North Dakota, Iowa, Missouri, 2 Nebraska winners, Ohio. Who else competed this week? First runner-up, Michigan. Yeah, crushing it, okay? So I cannot tell you how excited I am about this. And I just got Botox, and maybe you can't see how excited I am. But these starter and ender phrases are going to blow your mind. So if you don't believe me, though, I want to show you, not just tell you. So let me say some of these out loud, and then go type in 291 or click the link below in the description on YouTube, and we'll give you guys this. Here are some of the examples of starter phrases. And I'll give you a ton of these in the training. So just go click that and you'll see what I'm talking about. And then I'm going to tell you guys how you can get all 3 of these things inside of our new course that's coming out next week. But you can get on a VIP wait list to be the first person to hear about it. Okay, this is so fun. So let's just say, number 1, that you need to buy time or stay composed for something. So again, your brain carries out the information that we give it. So your brain is going to start thinking of questions that you've been asked in the past that would fit this scenario, which is hilarious. So it's just proving my point that these will work for you. So when you need to buy time or stay composed, you could say, well, that's a great question. Here's how I think about it. Okay, that just used 2 to 3 seconds to get my brain to catch up with, to pop in the super story that I want to use there. Second thing you could say is, well, let me take you inside the moment where it happened. Great. 2 seconds again, letting my brain catch up. Number 3, it wasn't always this way for me, but here's what changed. And then now, again, put in one of your super stories. Next one, honestly, I used to believe the opposite until this happened. Point blank period. Slay. So good. I know y'all are going to rewind these and be like, oh my gosh, these are so good. Which I'll just give these, they're below, so just click the thing. Okay. Next, when you're telling a good story, so you can start with, I'll never forget the day when, or it started in the most unexpected place, or if you knew me then, you wouldn't recognize me now, or this moment shaped the woman I've become today. Okay, those are all things you can start with, and boom, right into your story. Any open-ended question they ask you, boom, okay. When you're making a bold statement or they ask you a question that you feel like requires a bold statement, you can say, well, what I know to be true is... Number 2, the short answer, leadership isn't always about titles, it's about impact. And then you go right into your heroine story. One time, I blah, 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 and I went through this hard thing, and it blah, 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 okay? When you're making a bold statement, here's what most people miss about that, okay? That's a way to soften the blow of something that could be really controversial and put distance between you and the judge, when our number 1 goal is to build rapport between us and the judge. Next one, my answer might surprise you, but it's the truth. Boom, now share the truth. Okay, finisher, land the plane phrases. When you want to sound clear and resolved. So, and that's why I don't just believe it, I live it. Because of that, I'm not just prepared, I'm purpose-driven. Or because of that, I'm not just prepared, I'm ready to make an impact. Now notice how my tone is going down for these. Down for these. to land the plane. And that's why it's not just a goal for me, it's a calling. And that's the standard I hold myself to, both on and off the stage. So again, phrasing is going down. I'll teach you all this stuff, okay? When you want to bring it back to your platform or growth. And that's exactly why my platform means so much to me. That moment didn't just change me, it equipped me to lead. Everything I do today is rooted in that transformation. Okay, do you guys see how this helps land the plane? It's so calming. It's great. Like literally, if you have your heroine story, your super stories, and these, you cannot mess up your interview. Okay? And then imagine if you learn mindset from us too, and your brain is not messed up going into the interview. You have these tools, plus the mindset stuff, plus you look banging, your hair and makeup is great. You literally can't lose your interview unless you just don't say words. Okay? Okay, so grab the thingy below, type in 291 for it on Instagram, and yeah, DM us there, Powerhouse Pageantry on Instagram. It's a great episode. We're going to talk about interview the next 4 weeks. So many exciting things happening, and we have a brand new interview course called How to Win Your Interview, and then I have a fun phrase. I think it's say this, not that is what we're calling it. Say this, not that, how to win your pageant interview. It's going to be amazing. We're going to have a really, really, really cool way of releasing it where if you're on the VIP waitlist, you'll get a special price for the first 24 hours. You guys, this is literally, it's even more than 80% less expensive than what I charge for coaching. Okay, so if you don't get this objectively, I love you. You're dumb, okay? We'll be sending an email in a couple days of how you can get on the wait list. We're just kind of like letting you guys get excited about it. And then June 24th, 24 hours, clock starts. You got to get this interview course. It'll change your life. Okay, I got to get my baby. Love y'all. Bye.